The city of slow stars. Night arrives without beginning. It simply is, the way the tide simply is when you finally notice it moving against your ankles. You are standing before a door you don't remember walking toward. It's tall and pale, the color of quiet linen left in moonlight. There is no handle. There is only the seam between this side and the other. A thin, dark line, like the first sentence of a story. When you breathe in, the door breathes with you. When you exhale, it exhales. Hinges whispering, wood loosening as if relaxed by your pulse. The doorway opens not forward or backward, but inward, as though the night is folding a corner of itself to show you the silk hidden inside. You step through. You expect a hallway. You find a shoreline, hushed and impossible, composed of smooth stones that glow faintly from within. The sea is black glass, a held mirror. Above it hangs a city, floating upside down in the sky, the city of slow stars. Its streets are constellations strung between bright windows. Its rivers are silent meteor paths. Its towers breathe like sleeping whales. Nothing falls. Everything drifts. A sigh of wind behaves like a hand smoothing a blanket. It touches your hair the way an elder touches a child's brow, checking for fever, finding only warmth. A figure approaches along the shore, lantern cupped in both hands. The lantern's flame does not flicker, it listens. The figure's face is unimportant, and therefore kind. Their coat is stitched from old dusk. Their boots do not disturb the shining stones. "Welcome," they say, and the word sounds like a soft string plucked once and allowed to tremble into silence. You came in good time. What time is it, you ask, because the question belongs to your mouth even when the answer has lived in your bones forever. The figure considers your voice the way a librarian considers a beloved bookmark. It is the time that arrives when your shoulders remember how to lower. The lantern tilts. A path appears, a ribbon of silver footprints that proceed into the water and then rise, step by step, into the air, stairs to the sky, stairs to the city that hangs like a chandelier over the sea. You follow. Each step holds your weight and gives it back as tenderness. The water lifts to kiss your heel. The air receives you like a promise fulfilled. Your breath slows until it matches the motion of the tide, that maternal hush that continues even when no one listens. At the top of the stairs, an arch waits, two crescent moons leaning close, their tips nearly touching. As you pass beneath, a single bell chimes somewhere behind your heart. Its echo is small and infinitely patient. You have arrived inside the city of slow stars. The streets do not begin or end, they join. Stones underfoot are cut from yesterday's sunset, set in place by hands who loved the color enough to keep it. Every lamppost carries a sleeping flame, protected by glass the thickness of a tear. The flames breathe together as if sharing a dream. There is no crowd. There are presences. Here a shawl of fog that remembers being a grandmother. There a pair of boots waiting for the feet that outgrew them. At the corner, a chair worn gentle by somebody's permanent afternoon. The city is populated by traces the way a tidal pool is populated by light. Nothing here is unfinished. It is only unhurried. Your guide keeps pace beside you, their lantern unnecessary and therefore perfect. In this city, we keep what the world sheds by accident, the soft pieces. We do not hoard, we house. How's what? You ask. They lift their chin. Above you, a balcony of night spills down like hair. The seconds that shouldn't be lost, the breath before an apology, the last laugh before the doorbell rang, the feel of a hand you will not hold again, but would not dishonor by forgetting. A plaza opens like a palm. In its center stands a fountain whose water falls upward. Each droplet rises, self-contained, carrying a tiny scene inside. A child carrying bread wrapped in a scarf. A field after rain where worms rewrite the soil. A yellow kitchen with a chip in the sink that once looked like a country to someone who washed dishes there too often. The droplets wheel gently into the air and vanish into the ceiling of night, which accepts them like ideas returning to their source. You sit on the rim of the fountain because your legs ask to be included in this mercy. Your guide sits too. For a while, there is nothing to do but watch water climbing toward acceptance. I think I remember this place, you say, though the sentence ends with a question mark you do not pronounce. You remember its work, says the guide. The place itself does not require remembering. You may leave it nameless. What matters is what loosens when you are here. You nod. Something in your chest has indeed unknotted. It doesn't rush out. It simply stops being urgent. Across the plaza is a shop whose window displays a galaxy of folded notes, paper triangles, paper boats, paper birds, all suspended by threads too fine to see. A sign in the glass reads, "Letters you wrote in your head." Inside, a keeper with ink on their fingers smiles without looking up. Somewhere, a clock with no hands is content to be accurate exactly once, forever. You walk on. A street of doorways opens, each holding a different weather. One exhales the smell of pine and distance. Another is warm with lemon steam and towels. A third contains the sound of a train you will never ride, its rhythm already tucked into your bones. You stop at no doors. The proof of them is the reward. When you turn left, night opens into theater. The seats are velvet and empty. On the stage, a curtain billows as if breathing. Behind it, not actors, but shadows of moments given permission to bow. A projector glows from the back wall, casting nothing. Even so, the room fills with the sense of being shown enough. Is there a show? You whisper, out of politeness to the hush. There is always a show, says the guide. Tonight it is your turn not to perform. You stand a few breath lengths longer and realize the applause you are hearing is the applause you refused yourself for years. It continues softly until it doesn't need to. When you emerge, the street has decided to become a bridge. Beneath it, a river of slow stars, the city's namesakes, drifting like lanterns on a nocturnal current. You lean over the rail. Your reflection appears, then softens, then becomes a different face you wore once when you were brave without knowing it. The stars pass through your reflection and do not disturb it. What are these? You ask. Moments that no longer need to be attached to their outcomes. The city keeps them so you can see what beauty looks like without consequence. A breeze unpockets itself from the dark, and everything smells briefly of oranges and hot stone. You realize you are hungry, but for what you could not say. The feeling is pleasant. It keeps you company without asking. To be fed. You come upon a building shaped like a held breath, a dome of dark glass, its surface stippled with the faintest map of salt. Your guide touches the door with 2 fingers, and it swings inward to reveal an observatory where no telescope points up. All lenses aim downward into a round pool at the room's center. The pool is not full of water. It is full of near. Looking into it, you see oceans asleep beneath their moonlight blankets, continents curled like enormous children, and the long glimmer of unbroken waves that have never met a shore. If you speak, your voice would cross this pool and arrive years ago, becoming a gust that pushed a sailboat half a meter toward home. Can I touch it? You ask, because it feels right to ask permission here. Only with your quiet, says the guide. So you quiet. You become the stillness that enables. Your breath happens anyway. Your pulse adopts the city's tempo, compassionate, tireless. In the pool, a storm replays itself in reverse until it is only humidity. A lighthouse finds its calling but doesn't need to shout. The keeper boils tea, and the kettle's song completes the coastline. You realize the world is not being repaired here. It is being listened to until it remembers how to be whole without fixing. Tears arrive and behave themselves. They do not rush, they simply reach the surface and join the map of salt, already present. The guide offers you a small object, a coin or a moon or a button from your favorite coat, the one you gave away without ceremony. If you like, they say, you can place this in the pool to thank what carried you here. What will it do, you ask? It will continue to be itself, but kindly. You hold the coin or moon or button for a while, thumb finding the groove worn by a decade of fidgeting. You set it on the surface. It does not sink or float, it belongs. A ring spreads outward and eventually becomes the shore of a country you have no desire to govern. Thank you, you say. The room answers with the smell of rain. When you leave the observatory, the city has rotated slightly, the way you rotate a bowl to find the side where soup looks most like comfort. The streets below are patterned now with small processions, not parades, not griefs, something between. People and not people move at the pace of lullabies, carrying lanterns shaped like commas. They are not ending something, they are allowing it to continue gently. The guide gestures. We are nearing the quarter of kind rest. The quarter of kind rest is quieter than other quiet, the way velvet is softer than regular soft. Buildings lean toward one another, respectful conspirators. Windows are eyelids. In the air hangs a flavor of chamomile and dust warmed by lamplight. Knots untie themselves here because they have other plans. You pass a bakery that bakes nothing. It only releases the smell of fresh bread at 5 specific minutes each hour. This is enough to feed certain lonelinesses. Next door, a tailor mends time, hems that frayed when you were impatient, seams that split when you tried to be bigger than your body. They measure you in mercy and send you out wearing the exact evening you needed. You enter a room that used to be a clock shop and is now a stillness shop. In the cabinets, under glass, lie minutes that forgot to happen, pale blue tied with string. The proprietor looks up from a ledger. Their eyes are the grammar of rest. Will you be taking one with you? They ask in a tone usually reserved for forgiveness. I don't want to steal, you say. You would be returning. Take the minute that knows how to be yours. You lift a lid. The minute smells like rain that didn't arrive and therefore made everything gentler. It lies cool against your palm, then warms. You place it over your heart and it dissolves into you. Something gathers itself and sits down. Outside, a cat walks along a railing like a thought that refused to be hurried. It pauses to watch you with an expression that says both "I approve" and "this approval does not matter." You bow to the animal because the bow wants to happen, and the cat approves of that too. At the quarter's center is a square paved in phrases you wish someone had told you sooner. You did enough. You were brave when you could be. It's all right to stop now. People sit on benches and read the paving stones the way you read the sea, not for information, for rhythm. A musician plays an instrument that might be a cello or might be a length of evening strung with horsehair. The melody is made of long roads, short naps, and the memory of being carried as a child between rooms. A child, the kind who is also a future elder, dances by moving only their shoulders. Their mother drinks from a paper cup that steams its gratitude into the air. Your guide does not speak, because speaking would be the wrong dialect here. They simply stand near enough to be a wall if you want one, and far enough to be a horizon if you prefer that. You sit, and the bench receives your history without inventory. After a time that refuses clocks, you rise, and the bench remembers the shape you made and is pleased. Toward the city's edge stands a building that resembles a shell, one of those unwieldy spirals you lift to your ear when you wish to confirm that the sea remembers you. The sign above the door reads, "Museum of Small Eternities." The door is already open. It was never closed. Inside, light falls from holes in the ceiling cut to resemble constellations that only exist when two people who love the same story look at the same sky. The galleries are circular, patient. Each holds a single exhibit, perfectly labeled, perfectly unlabeled. The first room contains a teacup with a hairline crack that has known 6 households. In glass beside it lies a transcript of everything that crack learned. How hands tremble before the apology. How steam is a kind of prayer. How sweetness hides at the bottom because it trusts you to arrive. The second room shows a pair of boots that remember the precise sound of the gravel road outside a house that once leaned too far into summer. Tucked into one boot is a letter, invisible ink, legible as warmth. You did not fail them by leaving. You returned them to their sky. Another room holds a brass key that fits a door that chooses to remain ajar. Another, a metro ticket stamped with a morning when you could have turned one way and did not. Another, a stone with a worn hollow in which a thumb found solace for 3 winters. None of these are yours. All of these are yours. There is a gallery labeled Ears. It is full of silences arranged like polished river stones. You pick one up, and suddenly you are back in a classroom with afternoon raining on the windows while the teacher erases a chalkboard slower than necessary. Your entire future rotates 3 degrees in the direction of kindness. You replace the silence carefully, aware that someone else will need it later. At the heart of the museum is a room with no display, except a chair, a window, and a sky that is patiently undecided between rain and not rain. You sit. Beyond the glass, the city of slow stars continues its labor of mercy with no appetite for spectacle. A slow star drifts past the window like a lantern borne by a river we will not name. You whisper, "Thank you," and the window fogs as if answering, "You're welcome," in a language shared by breath and glass. When you stand to leave, you notice a plaque you somehow missed on the way in. You are not here to become new. You are here to become gentle with what has already been. The door opens into a street made of sighs that turned out well. At last the city offers you a station, not a beginning, not an end, the place where movement learns to be tender. Platforms edged with light, benches that know the difference between waiting and being waited with. A schedule board that lists only when you're ready and as long as it takes. A train arrives made of velvet shadow and window panes that have perfected the art of rain. Inside sit no passengers, which is another way of saying room for everything. You glance at your guide. Will you come? You ask. I have never left, they answer, and the sentence completes the shape of their lantern's glow. You step aboard. The carriage smells like cedar and second chances. The seats are neither old nor new. They are willing. The door closes with a hush. There is no lurch, no trumpet of departure. The city does not diminish. It accompanies. Through the glass you watch it slide, not past, but alongside your reflection, as if to remind you that leaving and being held can be the same motion when done slowly. The train moves through neighborhoods you did not visit, and yet contain you. The alley of kept promises, where laundry lines hold shirts like flags of surrendered worry. The court of quiet arguments, where two chairs face each other, and the space between them is full of newly planted trees. The market of unbought fruit, where pears ripen only to perfume the air with sweetness nobody has to own. Between districts, tunnels, one lined with the names of every teacher who taught you how to stay, another full of the breath you didn't have to hold after all. In one tunnel, bioluminescent handwriting crawls along the walls spelling enough, enough, enough in letters you can read with your skin. Somewhere, a violin remembers a song without the urgency of sorrow. The sound enters through the floor and sits on your shoes like a cat. You lean your head against the window. Your reflection leans back, older, kinder. In the glass you catch the city of slow stars drifting with you still, like a companion boat that understands rivers better than maps. The guide sits across from you, lantern resting on their knees, hands folded in a way that convinces time to unfasten its collar. What happens now, you ask, because questions like that are spells when spoken softly. Now, the guide says, you let the journey occur to you. So you do. You count the breaths between your breaths. You let them be. You close your eyes and open them to discover that the train has entered a landscape of rain made of glass. Droplets hang from the air like chandeliers, tinkling when the carriage passes. Your heartbeat is the conductor. Every strike of wheel on rail confirms the length of mercy. Beyond the rain, a sea. Not the black glass sea below the city, but a friendly one, covered in moon paths, glowing roads leading nowhere in particular. The train runs along a causeway that appears only when someone is ready to cross it. Seabirds made of paper fold and unfold themselves with soft percussion. You feel the entire sky's intention easing you forward. Your guide speaks again, only once more, and even then the words are almost nothing, like mist that chooses to be a letter. You may forget this place and still keep it. You nod, without needing to be seen. The train slows but does not stop. Stations appear in the glass, the way thoughts appear above sleep. Station of forgiven names. Station of rooms that remember you. Station of warm hands. At each, the platform is crowded with no one, lit by lamps that agree to be enough. You could step off. You do not. You have already arrived at the only platform that mattered, the one beneath your breastbone, where the pavement is made of patience. The guide rises. You rise. The lantern remains on the seat and does not dim. You won't need this now, they say, and it is true. At the carriage door, the night waits, crunching sugar anonymously. You stand with your palm against the cool glass, and for the length of one soft human silence, you are everything you have ever loved, and everything that has ever loved you, all the way through. It does not make you heavy. It makes you buoyant the way a secret makes a paper boat brave. The door opens. There is no platform, only a continuation of the city's light laid gently over the dark, like a blanket tucked beneath a chin. Your feet find it. Your breath finds you. The train exhales and carries on, not because it must, because journeys enjoy existing. You turn. The city of slow stars has folded itself into the distance, the way a mother folds a sweater and sets it on a chair for morning. It is there. It is away. It is yours. It is everyone's. You understand that you can return any time you practice the particular art of unhurrying. A final bell rings somewhere in the soft meat of the world. You bow, not forward, but around, so the bow includes the tide, the sky, the train, the guide, the cat on the railing, the bakery that bakes nothing, the museum's unspectacular miracles, the observatory's patient pool, the bridge of outcomes let go, the plaza where water ascends, the door that opened like breath. Above, the stars are slower than before, or perhaps you are slower. Either way, the night is pleased. You speak the smallest benediction you know, which is not a word, but a choice, to rest. The city answers by continuing. The sea answers by being. The lamp that was your lantern answers by remaining lit in an empty seat for someone who isn't empty at all. You do not say goodbye. You are carried and have always been. And when sleep arrives, as it does, as it will, it places one palm against your eyes and one over your heart, and it whispers, not in language, but in rhythm, good night. The journey goes on.